Have you ever felt like no matter how hard you try, something is always holding you back from reaching your full potential? Imagine waking up every day with the clarity and motivation to conquer your goals, build meaningful relationships, and maintain your well-being. What if the key to unlocking this transformation lies in identifying and eliminating just a few hidden habits? In this video, we dive deep into the top 10 toxic habits that might be silently sabotaging your success and happiness. From procrastination and negative self-talk to avoiding responsibility and neglecting your health, we'll uncover the subtle ways these behaviors impact your life. But that's not all. Stay with us until the end to discover powerful, actionable strategies that you can implement immediately to break free from these destructive patterns. You'll hear inspiring stories of personal transformation, learn how to cultivate a positive mindset, and find out how to create an environment that supports your growth. Whether you're striving for personal development, professional success, or simply a more fulfilling life, understanding and overcoming these toxic habits is essential. Don't let these invisible barriers keep you from achieving your dreams. Hit that play button and take the first step towards a healthier, happier, and more empowered you. Your journey to lasting change starts now. If you are not subscribed, I recommend subscribing and activating the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support means a lot to me, and if you enjoyed this video, you can help me continue spreading the valuable lessons by liking and sharing it. Habit number 1. Surround yourself with people who always say yes. In my relentless pursuit of validation and the desperate desire for acceptance, I carefully curated my circle to include people who never challenged me, never dared to question my choices, and, most reassuringly, always said yes. There was an undeniable comfort in hearing that sweet, constant affirmation, the thrill of seeing my ideas eagerly reinforced without hesitation. Each yes felt like a gentle stroke on my ego, feeding my desire to be admired and accepted. It felt good, it felt easy, but beneath the surface of this comfort was a darkness I refused to acknowledge. I had created a world where my decisions were unquestioned, where my ambitions were never scrutinized, and where I was always the unquestioned hero of my narrative. But the price of that comfort was far steeper than I could have imagined. The moment of realization struck me like a thunderclap, shattering my blissful ignorance. I had just presented a project at work, a project I was certain would soar, one that I believed was destined for greatness. As I shared my vision, my team, made up entirely of people who lived to please me, showered me with praise. Every word I spoke was met with unrestrained enthusiasm, and every idea I proposed was met with unwavering approval. They assured me it was brilliant, a masterpiece in the making. But when the project collapsed in flames, failing spectacularly in front of everyone, I was forced to face the excruciating truth. The people around me had seen the cracks in my plans, the fatal flaws, yet they remained silent, unwilling to risk my disapproval. They didn't challenge me. They didn't question me. Instead, they let me sail blindly toward disaster. The heart-wrenching truth I uncovered was this: by surrounding myself with people who only say yes, I had built an echo chamber, an isolating bubble where only my thoughts were reflected to me, only my ideas were affirmed, and the voices of reason were drowned out by my own unchallenged beliefs. In this self-made cage, growth became a distant dream, impossible to reach. I had become stagnant, lulled into a dangerous complacency, convinced that I was infallible and that my decisions were flawless. The absence of constructive criticism, the silence of those who could have pointed out my blind spots, meant that I never saw my errors coming until they exploded in my face, shattering everything in their wake. This devastating lesson is echoed through the story of King Lear in Shakespeare's timeless tragedy. In his insatiable need for validation, King Lear banishes the daughter who dares to speak the truth, surrounding himself with flatterers who tell him exactly what he wants to hear. In his desperation for adoration, he shuts himself off from the one voice that could have saved him, and ultimately his kingdom. His tragic downfall is a result of his refusal to hear the hard truths, and by the time he finally realizes his error, it is far too late. Like Lear, I too learned the hardest way possible that true growth and wisdom are not born from unquestioned praise, but from the painful yet essential voices that challenge us. Those who see our flaws, who aren't afraid to risk our displeasure, and who are brave enough to tell us the uncomfortable truths that we so desperately need to hear. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. The profound lesson here is undeniable. Growth cannot thrive in an environment of comfort and blind affirmation. True wisdom arises from challenges, from the perspectives that confront us, that force us to open our minds and confront our limitations. When we surround ourselves with only those who tell us what we want to hear, we pave the road to failure. Instead, we must seek out those who challenge us, who push us to think more deeply, and who aren't afraid to disagree with us. It's in these honest, sometimes uncomfortable exchanges where real progress occurs, where our blind spots are illuminated and our weaknesses are transformed into strengths. So, I urge you to embrace constructive criticism, to seek out voices that force you to think differently, to invite the kind of feedback that may sting at the moment but will ultimately lead you to a stronger, more resilient self. Don't fall into the trap of surrounding yourself with yes men, because the comfort of constant agreement is an illusion. Seek those who dare to challenge you, who will help you grow, and who will push you toward authentic success and lasting change. True greatness isn't built on the foundation of empty praise. It is forged through the fires of honest challenge. Habit number 2. Taking everything personally. For years, I found myself trapped in a relentless cycle of overthinking, endlessly revisiting every small comment, every look, and every moment where I felt even the slightest hint of criticism. I would lose myself in a maze of self-doubt, questioning my worth and wondering if I was somehow inadequate, always feeling as though the world was pointing a finger at me. This habit, this emotional burden of taking everything personally, slowly drained the joy from my life and choked the vitality out of my relationships. The weight of this habitual thinking grew heavier every day, and it was as though I was constantly walking through life with a dark cloud hovering over me. I vividly recall one painful incident at work, one that still lingers in my memory. I had poured my heart and soul into a project for weeks, thinking it was my finest work yet. But when my boss gave me constructive criticism, rather than embracing it as an opportunity to learn and improve, I took it as a personal attack. My heart clenched with frustration, and my mind raced with feelings of inadequacy. How could she say that? Did she think I was incapable? I became defensive, shutting down the conversation and creating a wall between us. The bitterness that began to brew within me poisoned not only my relationship with my boss but also my professional growth. I had missed a golden opportunity to evolve, to turn my mistakes into stepping stones, and instead, I let the criticism define me, burying myself in defensiveness and shame. Taking everything personally is like carrying a heavy, invisible burden, one that weighs you down with insecurities and closes you off from the possibility of change. It's a cage that confines you, keeping you stuck in a loop of self-judgment and emotional exhaustion. You become hyper-vigilant, constantly on edge, ready to defend yourself at the slightest hint of negative feedback. This defensive mindset prevents you from opening yourself up to growth and the enriching perspectives others may offer. There's a timeless lesson here, one beautifully illustrated in Mark Twain's The Prince and the Pauper. In the story, the pauper Tom Canty is thrust into a life of privilege and power, but he struggles immensely under the constant scrutiny and judgment of those around him. Instead of seeing the feedback and challenges as part of his growth, Tom feels personally attacked, unable to separate his identity from the role he is forced to play. However, as Tom learns to rise above his insecurities and see things from a wider perspective, he begins to grow into his new role. He realizes that the criticisms he faces are not a reflection of his worth, but rather a reflection of the expectations and responsibilities of his position. This shift allows him to thrive and gain the confidence he once lacked. The deeper, more profound truth that I had to learn, one that I continue to remind myself of, is that not everything is about you. The actions and words of others often come from their struggles, frustrations, and personal histories. When you take everything personally, you mistakenly assume that the universe revolves around you, that every remark, every gesture, and every action is a direct commentary on your value. This belief distorts your view of reality and creates a barrier between you and the world around you. The truth is, most of the time, it's not about you at all. Once I grasped this truth, everything began to shift. I stopped internalizing other people's words and actions as judgments of my character. Instead of seeing criticism as an attack on my self-worth, I began to see it as a gift, an opportunity for growth. I started to recognize that when someone offers feedback, they are simply sharing their perspective, one shaped by their own experiences and intentions. And when I stopped wearing my emotions on my sleeve, I became more open to hearing those perspectives without feeling threatened by them. This change was nothing short of transformative. As I began to detach my self-esteem from external judgments, I noticed a profound improvement in my mental health, my confidence, and my relationships. I was no longer shackled by the weight of taking everything personally. Instead, I embraced criticism as a tool for growth, and the more I practiced this, the stronger and more resilient I became. I also realized that others' words and actions were often a reflection of them, not me. Once I let go of this habit, my interactions became healthier, more constructive, and infinitely more fulfilling. By choosing not to take everything personally, you free yourself. You free yourself from the chains of self-doubt, from the constant battle within yourself, and from the emotional exhaustion that comes from living in a world that isn't always about you. You open yourself to the beautiful possibility of growth, learning, and connection. You become more resilient, more adaptable, and more at peace in a world that can often feel overwhelming. Embrace this shift. It will not only transform your mindset, but it will also transform your life. It's a gift that keeps giving, and the more you practice it, the more you will discover your true strength and the immense power of letting go. Habit number 3. Reckless spending. In my younger years, financial wisdom seemed like a distant concept, something others spoke of but never truly grasped. I lived in the present, consumed by the thrill of now, spending money with reckless abandon as soon as it crossed my hands, without a second thought for tomorrow. The allure of instant gratification held me captive, leading me down a dangerous and unsustainable path. I was blind to the future, indulging in the fleeting joy that comes with a new purchase, always seeking that next high, only to be met with a crushing reality. One of the most eye-opening moments came when an unexpected medical bill arrived, a stark reminder of how vulnerable I had become. I had no savings, no cushion to protect me from life's inevitable storms. The anxiety that gripped me in that moment was suffocating and overwhelming in every way. I was drowning in the consequences of my financial ignorance, and I knew I had to change. I was living paycheck to paycheck, a never-ending cycle of consuming whatever I wanted whenever I wanted, completely oblivious to the lasting impact my habits were having on my future. I thought that happiness could be bought, that each impulsive purchase, each fleeting moment of pleasure, would bring me lasting fulfillment. But all I was left with was an empty bank account, mounting debt, and a profound sense of emptiness. It's the kind of emptiness that no material possession can fill, the kind that lingers long after the excitement of the new item fades. I was trapped in an endless loop, chasing after something I could never truly attain, a sense of fulfillment that was always just out of reach. Reckless spending isn't just a matter of money, it's a reflection of the mindset that governs it. It's the lie that material possessions and transient pleasures will bring us lasting happiness. It's a dangerous cycle of consumption, where each purchase promises satisfaction, but instead only deepens the emptiness within. It's the story of the prodigal son, a young man who demands his inheritance too soon, spends it all on fleeting pleasures, and ends up broken and destitute. It's only after hitting rock bottom that he realizes the value of living wisely, of taking responsibility for his actions. He returns home, humbled and ready to rebuild his life, something that cannot be done until you recognize the damage reckless spending has done to your soul and future. The deeper message in this is impossible to ignore. Financial stability isn't just about money. It's about peace, freedom, and a sense of security that allows you to face life's uncertainties without fear. Every moment of reckless spending is a sacrifice of your future well-being for the sake of a fleeting moment of pleasure. And the consequences are far-reaching. When you live in the constant chaos of financial instability, you are a slave to debt, always on edge, never knowing when the next crisis will hit. This habit not only robs you of your financial future, but also of your ability to invest in meaningful experiences, personal growth, and long-term goals. It traps you in a cycle of short-term thinking, constantly chasing after the next purchase, the next high, the next escape from reality. But it doesn't stop there. Reckless spending also strains relationships. Financial stress is one of the leading causes of tension and conflict between partners, friends, and even family members. The guilt, embarrassment, and shame that accompany financial instability often lead to feelings of inadequacy, which seep into every interaction. They leave a shadow over even the most meaningful relationships, breeding mistrust, resentment, and emotional distance. Breaking free from this habit isn't just about cutting back on spending. It's about a fundamental shift in mindset. It's about understanding that money is not a tool for instant pleasure, but for building a stable future. It's about prioritizing the long term over the short term, investing in your future rather than succumbing to the pull of instant gratification. I began my transformation by creating a budget that I could stick to, by setting clear financial goals, and by recognizing that saving wasn't a restriction, it was freedom. Slowly, I began to build an emergency fund, a financial safety net that gave me a sense of security I had never known. I started investing in experiences that would enrich my life, things that would bring true fulfillment rather than the hollow satisfaction of a new purchase. That shift in mindset changed everything. It not only improved my financial situation but brought me a sense of control and peace that I had been craving for years. No longer did I feel like a victim of my impulses. I felt empowered and confident in my ability to handle life's challenges. By curbing reckless spending, I opened the door to financial freedom, to a life where I could plan for the future without fear, where I could invest in what truly mattered: the relationships, the experiences, and the memories that would outlast any material possessions. The most powerful realization of all was that true happiness comes from within, not from what we buy or accumulate. By learning to live within my means and prioritize the long term, I discovered a satisfaction that went beyond the temporary thrills of reckless spending. That satisfaction was rooted in control, purpose, and a deep sense of fulfillment that no object or fleeting pleasure could ever provide. Embrace this change, and you will unlock a life of lasting satisfaction and peace. Habit number 4. Harboring resentment. For years, I clung to resentment like a heavy, suffocating cloak that I believed would protect me from future wounds. I convinced myself that by nurturing anger and bitterness, I was somehow safeguarding my heart, guarding it against further pain. But the truth, as I painfully learned, was far from what I had hoped for. I wasn't protecting myself. I was drowning in a self-inflicted storm, each gust of bitterness cutting deeper into my soul. Every unresolved grievance, every slight, real or imagined, became a chain that anchored me to the past, preventing me from moving forward. One moment that stands out in my memory, a time when my heart was shattered by the betrayal of a close friend, is still as vivid as though it happened yesterday. The sting of betrayal left a wound that refused to heal. Instead of confronting my feelings and seeking resolution, I buried them, allowing the resentment to take root and flourish. I became obsessed with the wrongdoings of this person, replaying the scene over and over in my mind, each time sharpening the bitterness. What began as a single moment of hurt transformed into a monstrous burden that consumed me entirely. Every encounter with that person felt poisoned, each word and gesture tainted by the venom of my unresolved anger. I couldn't escape it. The resentment dominated my thoughts, clouding my mind and draining me of energy. It felt like carrying a 1,000-pound weight, an invisible force that made everything feel more difficult and painful. There's a haunting example in literature that perfectly encapsulates the devastating power of resentment: Herman Melville's Moby Dick. Captain Ahab's relentless obsession with the white whale is symbolic of how unchecked bitterness can consume a person, turning them into someone unrecognizable. His hatred for the whale, and his desire for revenge, gnawed at him with a ferocity that blinded him to all reason and compassion. As his fixation deepened, so did his destruction. Ahab's refusal to release his hatred not only led to his demise but to the ruin of those around him. His bitterness cost him everything, just as our resentment can blind us to the beauty of life and destroy the peace within us. The whale, a mere symbol of his past suffering, had long since moved on. Meanwhile, Ahab remained trapped in his obsession with the past, reliving his wounds instead of healing them. The painful irony of harboring resentment is that the person you resent may not even be affected by your feelings. They may not even be aware of your hurt, or worse, they may have already moved on with their lives while you remain stuck in a loop of hurt, anger, and frustration. Meanwhile, resentment locks you in a prison of your own making, stripping away your ability to experience true joy and preventing personal growth. It becomes a barrier, not just to peace, but to love, happiness, and the beautiful experiences that life has to offer. By holding on to the past, we rob ourselves of the chance to embrace the present and look forward to the future. Letting go of resentment is not easy. It requires an intentional, heartfelt choice to forgive, not as an excuse for the other person's behavior, but as an act of self-liberation. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting or condoning the pain that was inflicted upon you. It means releasing the emotional hold that the offense has on you. It means confronting the wound, feeling the pain, and then deciding to let it go, not for their sake, but for your own. It's a courageous act of self-care, an act that says, I am no longer willing to be defined by this pain. For me, the journey of releasing resentment began with a symbolic act of releasing the past. I started by writing down every hurt, every resentment, every painful moment, and then tearing up the paper as a physical representation of letting go. It was cathartic. Seeing those pieces of paper disintegrate gave me a sense of freedom, as though I was releasing the grip that these past experiences had on me. I also turned to activities that nourished my soul, activities that brought me joy, like spending time with loved ones, engaging in creative pursuits, and reconnecting with the simple pleasures of life. Slowly, my energy returned, and with it, a sense of lightness I hadn't felt in years. The constant weight of bitterness that once dragged me down had been lifted, and my mind began to clear, allowing room for peace, optimism, and the potential for new, positive experiences. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. A powerful tool in overcoming resentment is the practice of empathy. This doesn't mean excusing the other person's actions, but rather understanding their perspective. When we allow ourselves to see a situation through another's eyes, we often gain clarity. It doesn't erase the pain, but it helps us detach from the emotional grip that resentment holds. Similarly, practicing gratitude can shift your focus from what you lack to what you have, turning your mindset from one of bitterness to one of appreciation. Even in the face of pain, there are blessings. Small moments of beauty and joy that can shift your emotional landscape and allow you to reclaim your peace. Ultimately, letting go of resentment is about reclaiming your power. It's about taking control of your emotional well-being and refusing to let past hurts dictate your future. It's an act of empowerment, choosing peace, joy, and emotional freedom over the weight of the past. When you forgive, you release yourself from the shackles of bitterness and open your heart to new relationships, new experiences, and the fullness of life. It's a journey, one that requires strength, vulnerability, and time, but it is a journey worth taking. By embracing forgiveness, you not only free yourself, but also open the door to a future filled with greater love, deeper connections, and a life that feels lighter, brighter, and more fulfilling. Habit number 5. Procrastination. Procrastination, a habit that once had the power to shatter my dreams and steal my ambitions. For years, I was a master of delay, expertly weaving excuses that kept me in a perpetual state of hesitation. I convinced myself that I thrived under pressure, that somehow when the clock was ticking and the stakes were high, I would find a burst of inspiration that would make everything come together. I told myself that I needed the right moment, the perfect conditions, to begin. But this constant deferral only deepened the wound it created. The more I postponed, the more the stress piled up, growing into an overwhelming monster of guilt and regret. Opportunities slipped away like sand through my fingers, and the more I ignored the inevitable, the more I was consumed by a sense of impending doom. One moment from my college days still haunts me, a vivid reminder of the havoc procrastination can wreak on your life. I had an important assignment, one that would significantly impact my final grade. Instead of attacking it with determination and focus, I pushed it aside, telling myself that I could tackle it tomorrow, the next day, or the day after that. Days slipped by like water, each day adding another layer to the mountain of work that loomed before me. Weeks passed in a haze of avoidance, and then, like a bolt of lightning, the deadline arrived. There was no more time. I spent the entire night in a state of panic, my body on autopilot as I desperately crammed, typing furiously but with no real direction. The work I produced was far from my best, and the stress I endured during that sleepless night drained all my energy and creativity. The result? A mediocre presentation that earned me a grade I still cringe to think about. That poor grade didn't just affect my academic record. It crushed my self-esteem and left me with a heavy, lasting regret. Procrastination is more than just poor time management. It's a silent killer that feeds on our deepest fears. It thrives in the shadows of our self-doubt, feeding off our anxiety about failing, about not being perfect, or even about succeeding. We become paralyzed, unable to move forward, and we avoid tasks not because we're lazy, but because we fear what will happen if we fail or succeed. The momentary relief we feel from avoiding the task is fleeting, like a false comfort, only to be replaced by an even greater sense of pressure and anxiety as the deadline creeps closer. The cycle of avoidance, guilt, and regret becomes all too familiar, creating a vicious loop that seems impossible to break. It's like the age-old fable of the ant and the grasshopper. One worked diligently and steadily throughout the summer, preparing for the harshness of winter. The other basked in the present, putting off the inevitable until it was too late. When winter came, the grasshopper found himself cold, hungry, and unprepared, while the ant thrived, reaping the rewards of his proactive efforts. This timeless story illustrates the devastating consequences of procrastination and the tremendous benefits of working ahead, even when it seems inconvenient. The harsh truth is that procrastination doesn't just sabotage our productivity, It undermines our mental health, erodes our self-worth, and slowly chips away at our confidence. Every time we delay, we reinforce a negative image of ourselves. We begin to see ourselves as unreliable and incapable of meeting our expectations. This breeds self-doubt, and before we know it, we're stuck in an endless cycle of avoidance, each instance of procrastination making it harder to believe in our ability to succeed. Overcoming this habit requires more than just willpower. It demands a fundamental shift in mindset. We must begin to see tasks not as insurmountable mountains, but as small, manageable steps. By breaking them down, we reclaim a sense of control, and each small victory builds the momentum to tackle the next challenge. During my journey to conquer procrastination, I discovered several techniques that changed the game for me. One of the most effective methods was the Pomodoro technique. I started working in focused 25-minute bursts, followed by 5-minute breaks. After completing 4 cycles, I rewarded myself with a longer break. This system not only kept me focused, but also helped me avoid the overwhelming feeling of staring at a massive task. It made my work seem more manageable and allowed me to stay energized and motivated throughout the day. I also realized the power of setting clear, achievable goals each day. When I had a specific target, I felt a sense of accomplishment that propelled me forward, keeping me on track and moving steadily toward my larger goals. Accountability also played a crucial role in my transformation. I began sharing my goals with friends and colleagues, telling them what I planned to accomplish each day. Knowing that someone else was aware of my commitments added a layer of responsibility that helped me stay on task. It wasn't just about meeting my expectations. It was about respecting the time and trust of those who were holding me accountable. This sense of duty motivated me to keep going, even when the work felt challenging. Breaking free from procrastination is like stepping out of a dark, suffocating fog into the light of clarity and purpose. It's about reclaiming your time, your energy, and your sense of self-worth. When you stop running from tasks, when you stop burying your head in the sand, you free yourself from the constant weight of stress and guilt. You allow yourself to be present, produce higher quality work, and live a life that is more balanced and fulfilling. By adopting a proactive approach, you'll find that not only do you get more done, but you do it with less stress and greater satisfaction. Procrastination may be a habit, but it's one you can break. And when you do, the rewards will be immeasurable. Habit number 6. Overcommitting and not following through. For a significant part of my life, I was trapped in the vicious cycle of overcommitting, fueled by a deep desire to please others and the constant, nagging fear of missing out. My need to be needed, to feel valuable, and to stay involved in everything led me to say yes to almost every request that came my way. I didn't hesitate to volunteer for every project, attend every event, or promise my help to anyone who asked. My intentions, of course, were pure. I wanted to be helpful, supportive, and engaged. But what began as a genuine effort to do good soon spiraled into a chaotic pattern of stress, disappointment, and broken trust. The most significant example of this happened when I found myself juggling an overwhelming number of work projects, all while making promises to friends and committing to community events. At first, the rush of taking on so much felt like a triumph, a testament to my capability and importance. I was convinced that I could handle it all. But as the deadlines piled up, and each new responsibility added weight to my already burdened shoulders, I began to feel the cracks forming. Soon, I was drowning in a sea of unfinished tasks and unmet expectations. The pressure mounted as I watched my work suffer. Mediocre results, missed deadlines, and the increasing disappointment of colleagues who relied on me. On the personal front, my friends were hurt by my failure to follow through. I had promised to support them, yet my commitments were fleeting, and my presence became a shadow of what it once was. Community involvement, which should have been an enriching experience, turned into a hollow gesture. Instead of making meaningful contributions, I was simply there in my body, not my heart. The weight of my guilt became unbearable, and it was then that I truly understood the destructive power of overcommitting. This endless cycle of overcommitment and failure to follow through didn't just drain my energy. It tore at my self-esteem, my reputation, and my sense of self-worth. Ironically, the more I tried to appear capable and reliable, the more I exposed myself as the opposite: overwhelmed, untrustworthy, and inconsistent. The quality of my work plummeted, and as my relationships faltered, I became trapped in a cycle of self-doubt and regret. Overcommitting, though rooted in a desire to be seen as dependable, often has the reverse effect. It makes you appear unreliable, and people begin to question your integrity. A vivid example of this danger can be seen in Hermione Granger from Harry Potter. In her third year at Hogwarts, Hermione uses a time turner, believing that she can manage an impossible number of classes. Despite her intelligence and drive, the overwhelming burden of her commitments ultimately leads her to burnout. She finds herself physically and emotionally drained, unable to keep up with the demands of her overpacked schedule. This serves as a poignant reminder that even the most talented and hard-working individuals are vulnerable to the perils of overcommitting. It's a cautionary tale of how taking on more than you can handle can chip away at your well-being and self-worth. The deeper message here is that overcommitting and not following through leads to a toxic cycle, one of stress, disappointment, and diminished confidence. To escape this endless loop, we must learn to set boundaries and manage expectations. We must be honest with ourselves about our limitations and acknowledge that our well-being must come first. Recognizing when to say no is not a weakness. It's an act of self-respect and strength. One of the most transformative steps I took in breaking this cycle was learning to prioritize my commitments. I started evaluating every request I received, not by its urgency, but by its alignment with my values and long-term goals. I asked myself, will this bring me closer to where I want to be? Does this align with my core values? It was difficult at first, but saying no became a powerful tool in regaining control of my life. I also began to communicate more openly with colleagues and friends about what I could realistically handle, setting clear expectations for what I could give and when. This transparency not only alleviated some of my stress but also helped restore trust in my relationships, as people knew they could count on me to be honest and dependable. Another crucial lesson was learning to promise less but deliver more. By setting realistic expectations and then exceeding them, I began to build a reputation not just for being reliable, but for delivering excellence. This shift in mindset allowed me to manage others' expectations more effectively and also created a safety net for when life inevitably threw curveballs my way. I realized that less can often be more. Less pressure and fewer commitments, but greater depth and quality in each commitment I made. Breaking free from the destructive cycle of overcommitting isn't easy, but it's vital for reclaiming our energy, focus, and emotional well-being. By setting clear boundaries, prioritizing what matters most, and communicating our limits effectively, we can step away from the chaos of constant obligation. This approach allows us to pour our best efforts into the commitments that truly matter, build stronger and more trusting relationships, and ultimately lead a more balanced, fulfilling life. Overcommitting robs us of our potential, but by learning to say no, we can free ourselves from the burden of unrealistic expectations and create space for what truly nourishes us. Habit number 7. Relying on luck. For a long time, I found myself trapped in the belief that success was something dictated by luck, an elusive, random force that could swoop in and elevate me to greatness with little effort on my part. I waited in vain for the perfect opportunity to materialize, hoping desperately that one fateful stroke of good fortune would catapult me into success, as though life would suddenly present me with all the answers I was searching for. This misguided mindset, this false belief that luck could be my savior, held me back for far too long. Instead of taking control of my future, I stagnated, paralyzed by the idea that something outside of myself needed to happen before I could even begin. I vividly remember a time when I was burning with a passion to write a book. I could see myself on the bestseller list, basking in the validation of being a published author. But instead of committing to the hard work and perseverance that were required, I let my dreams remain just that, dreams. I passively waited for a publisher to magically discover me, as though success would fall into my lap without effort. I sent an incomplete manuscript to a few contests, expecting a miracle to happen, all the while avoiding the tough, disciplined work of refining my craft. But nothing happened. No editor knocked on my door, no publisher showed interest. In the end, my reliance on luck kept me stagnant, shackling me to inaction and sabotaging my progress. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. The truth is that relying on luck is the ultimate passive approach to life. It's not about seizing control of your destiny, but rather about waiting for external forces to align perfectly, as if life owes you a favor. And when you live like this, opportunities slip right through your fingers, unnoticed and unattainable. When you place your faith in luck, you are essentially abandoning your power to shape your future. You become a spectator in your own life, convincing yourself that your outcomes are entirely beyond your control. It creates a suffocating sense of helplessness, a paralyzing belief that you're powerless to change your circumstances. This mentality is powerfully illustrated in the timeless tale of The Fisherman and His Wife by the Brothers Grimm. In this story, a poor fisherman catches a magical fish that grants wishes. Rather than taking control of her happiness, the fisherman's wife grows increasingly greedy, relying on the fish to fulfill her endless desires. Her dependence on luck, the false belief that something external could provide all that she wanted, ultimately leads to her downfall. Each wish she demands pushes her further from contentment, and in the end, the magical fish takes everything back, leaving them far worse off than they were before. The moral of the story couldn't be clearer. Waiting for luck to deliver success is a dangerous gamble, one that can leave you with nothing but regret. The harsh reality is that true success is rarely the result of mere chance. It's the result of hard work, determination, and consistent, strategic action. While luck may play a part in certain moments, it is not a solid foundation on which to build your life. Relying on luck only serves to breed excuses and complacency, preventing you from developing the discipline, mindset, and skills required to succeed over the long haul. It clouds your vision and keeps you stuck in a cycle of waiting, wishing, and dreaming, instead of doing. To break free from this destructive habit, it's essential to adopt a proactive mindset. Take charge of your journey. Set clear, actionable goals, and most importantly, create a plan to achieve them. Focus on what you can control, your effort, your decisions, your growth, and commit to taking consistent, deliberate actions each day. Success doesn't come to those who wait for it. It is earned by those who roll up their sleeves and work tirelessly to bring their visions to life. For me, the shift from relying on luck to trusting in my ability to create my future was nothing short of transformative. I stopped waiting for validation and started taking ownership of my goals. I began breaking down the larger dream of becoming a writer into small, achievable steps. Rather than hoping for a publisher to notice me, I dedicated time each day to writing, refining my craft, to seeking out feedback from trusted mentors. I set aside excuses, stopped waiting for the perfect conditions, and started working, just as hard as I could, for as long as it took. As I embraced this proactive approach, the opportunities that had once seemed unreachable slowly began to unfold before me. They didn't come as a gift from some lucky break, they came. I took action because I showed up every single day. Another invaluable step in overcoming the dependence on luck is cultivating a growth mindset. Instead of seeing challenges as obstacles, see them as opportunities for growth. Embrace criticism as a gift, and let it propel you to improve. Understand that success is a journey, not a destination. Each setback is just a stepping stone that brings you closer to your ultimate goal. And don't forget the power of networking, connecting with people, building relationships, and attending events. While it may seem like you're just getting lucky, these opportunities are the fruits of your hard work in cultivating connections and putting yourself out there. The people you meet, and the experiences you seek, are all part of the greater picture of success. Relying on luck not only robs you of your potential, it traps you in a cycle of passivity and inaction. But when you take the reins, set clear goals, and commit to the daily grind, you'll begin to create opportunities for yourself that go far beyond what luck could ever offer. Through hard work, determination, and the courage to persevere, you will discover that you are capable of far more than you ever imagined. You are not at the mercy of luck. You are the architect of your success, and with that power in your hands, the possibilities are limitless. Habit number 8. Avoiding responsibility. Avoiding responsibility was a profound struggle in my life, one that held me captive for far too long. Whenever something went awry, my instinct was to deflect, to throw blame like a shield, to conjure excuses rather than confront my shortcomings. I found solace in the act of pointing fingers, at others, at circumstances, anything but myself. It was easier, I convinced myself, than facing the harsh reality that I had a role in the failures around me. But this habit, this toxic pattern of avoiding responsibility, did more than just cripple my personal growth. It fractured my relationships, tarnished my reputation, and stained my credibility beyond repair. I remember a defining moment that haunts me to this day, a pivotal incident at work where I was given the responsibility of leading a team on a critical project. We were full of ambition and hopes of success. But, as often happens in life, we were struck by unforeseen challenges, delays, miscommunication, and an overwhelming sense of uncertainty. Instead of stepping up, taking charge, and steering the ship, I chose the cowardly route. I deflected the blame. I pointed fingers at my team members, at external factors, and anything but myself. I refused to take ownership of the flawed management that had led to our setbacks. And in doing so, I allowed the team's morale to plummet and sowed the seeds of mistrust and disappointment. The once promising project became a symbol of failure, not just for the team, but for me as well. This unwillingness to embrace responsibility became a silent but deadly obstacle to our collective success, and I knew, deep down, that I was the one who had failed them. Avoiding responsibility is often rooted in fear, a fear of failure, of judgment, of confronting the uncomfortable truth about ourselves. We seek refuge in the notion that if we don't acknowledge our mistakes, we can somehow shield ourselves from the consequences. But in reality, this mindset traps us in a cycle of stagnation. By avoiding accountability, we rob ourselves of the opportunity to learn, to evolve, and to grow. We miss the chance to turn our failures into stepping stones toward success. Worse yet, we foster a toxic culture of blame, one that breeds distrust, disillusionment, and dysfunction. Take, for example, Holden Caulfield, the deeply troubled protagonist of The Catcher in the Rye. Holden's life is a testament to the dangers of avoiding responsibility. He spends much of the novel blaming the world around him for his misery, refusing to take ownership of his actions and his role in his downfall. His failure to face his limitations or accept responsibility for his own choices leads him down a path of isolation and discontent. Holden's life is a stark warning of what happens when we deny responsibility. Our relationships with others become fractured, and our internal peace is replaced with a gnawing sense of emptiness. The lesson here is clear. True growth, both as a person and as a leader, requires the courage to take responsibility. When we own our actions and their consequences, we demonstrate a profound sense of integrity, authenticity, and maturity. It is in this acceptance that we unlock our potential for transformation. Taking responsibility not only earns us respect, it empowers us to make changes, to course correct, and to rise above the failures that would otherwise hold us back. By facing our mistakes head-on, we build resilience, deepen our self-awareness, and pave the way for stronger, more trustworthy relationships. To break free from the destructive cycle of avoiding responsibility, we must first shift our mindset toward accountability. The next time something goes wrong, ask yourself, what role did I play in this? What can I learn from this experience? How can I do better next time? This self-awareness is the first step toward meaningful growth. On my journey, I found that regular self-reflection became my anchor. After any significant event, whether a success or a failure, I took time to reflect on my actions. I asked myself what I could have done differently, what mistakes I had made, and how I could grow from the experience. This honest assessment was painful at times, but it was the key to breaking free from my old habits and starting the path toward responsibility. Another powerful tool in overcoming this habit is seeking feedback. Sometimes, we cannot see the blind spots in our own behavior. By inviting others to give us their honest opinions, whether it's colleagues, friends, or family, we gain fresh perspectives that help us uncover areas of growth we may have overlooked. Feedback, while uncomfortable at times, is an invaluable resource for self-improvement. Setting clear, actionable goals is another essential step. When we commit to tangible objectives, we create a sense of accountability that extends beyond ourselves. Our progress, or lack thereof, becomes a reflection of our responsibility. Track your achievements, hold yourself accountable for the outcomes, and be honest with yourself about where you're falling short. This practice helps cultivate a sense of pride and ownership over your life. Finally, when you inevitably make mistakes, don't shy away from them. Make amends. Apologize sincerely, and take immediate action to correct the situation. This commitment to responsibility not only restores trust but also builds a reputation for reliability and integrity. Avoiding responsibility is a trap that not only stunts your personal growth but also breeds a toxic cycle of blame and resentment. But when you choose to embrace accountability, you open the door to boundless growth, stronger relationships, and a more empowered, authentic life. Own your actions, learn from your mistakes, and commit to becoming the best version of yourself. This change, though challenging, will lead you toward a life that is richer, more fulfilling, and filled with purpose. Habit number 9. Ignoring your health. For years, I lived in denial, blindly neglecting my health as I poured my energy into work, social activities, and every other obligation that felt more urgent. I believed that I was invincible, that my youth and seemingly boundless resilience would protect me from the consequences of my choices. Little did I know, this careless disregard for my well-being would soon send me crashing into a reality I could no longer ignore. I was caught in a dangerous cycle of overwork, sleep deprivation, and poor eating habits, convincing myself that I could push through. Once the project is done, I thought, I'll have time to recover. But I was wrong. One fateful day, everything came to a head. After weeks of pushing myself beyond my limits, I suddenly felt a sharp, searing pain in my chest. My vision blurred, my breathing became shallow, and before I knew it, I collapsed right at my desk. I woke up in a cold sweat, lying in a hospital bed, surrounded by doctors who looked more concerned than I could comprehend. The diagnosis was severe exhaustion. My body had been begging for rest for so long, but I hadn't listened. Worse still, I was warned that my heart might not be so forgiving next time if I didn't change my ways. The wake-up call was painful but necessary. Ignoring your health is like driving a car without ever servicing it. You might think it's running fine for a while, but eventually, the engine will stall, and the damage will be irreversible. Your body and mind are not machines to be used relentlessly without care. They are delicate systems that need nurturing to thrive. Neglecting your health doesn't just lead to fatigue and irritability. It opens the door to chronic illnesses, life-threatening conditions, and an irreversible decline in your quality of life. It robs you of the energy and vitality you need to excel in your personal and professional endeavors. It impacts your relationships, your happiness, and your ability to truly live. Consider the story of Steve Jobs, an individual whose genius and innovation revolutionized the world. Despite his monumental success, Jobs, too, fell victim to the idea that health could wait. He delayed conventional treatment for his cancer, opting for alternative therapies, hoping they would work. By the time he chose to seek medical help, the cancer had already progressed far beyond what was manageable. His story serves as a heartbreaking reminder. No amount of wealth, fame, or success can shield you from the consequences of poor health. Your body is your most precious asset, and without it, all the riches in the world amount to nothing. The profound truth here is simple yet powerful. Your health is the foundation of everything else in life. Without it, your dreams, your goals, your accomplishments, and even your relationships are all built on a fragile, crumbling base. That's why taking care of your physical and mental health is not a luxury. It's a non-negotiable priority. When you prioritize your well-being, you're giving yourself the strength to pursue everything else with vigor and clarity. In my journey of transformation, I started small. I began by integrating simple habits into my daily life, taking short walks during breaks, drinking more water, and making healthier food choices. At first, these changes felt insignificant, but over time, they began to build momentum. I felt more energized, more focused, and more alive than I had in years. Gradually, I started committing to regular workouts, refining my diet, and creating a sleep routine that allowed me to wake up feeling rested and ready to face the day. These small steps, simple yet life-changing, have made a profound impact on my physical health and mental clarity. One of the most important lessons I learned was the value of preventative care. I now make it a point to schedule regular checkups with my doctor, dentist, and other health professionals. Catching potential health issues early can make all the difference in preventing more serious problems down the road. Mental health is equally crucial in this equation. I practice mindfulness and meditation regularly, finding moments of peace amidst the chaos. When life feels overwhelming, I don't hesitate to reach out to a therapist or counselor for support. Surrounding yourself with a strong support system is another critical factor in maintaining good health. Having friends and family who hold you accountable and encourage your wellness goals is invaluable. It's easier to stay on track when you know others are rooting for you and offering their support when you stumble. Finally, a balanced lifestyle is key. It's so easy to fall into the trap of overcommitment, to fill every minute of the day with obligations and tasks. But that approach is a fast track to burnout. Make time for rest, for hobbies, for relaxation. Don't sacrifice your mental and physical well-being for the sake of productivity. Your health thrives when you give it space to breathe and when you nourish it with rest, movement, and joy. Ignoring your health is an act of self-sabotage that deprives you of the full life you deserve to live. But by embracing the power of self-care and making conscious choices that honor your body and mind, you can transform your life. It's not just about surviving, it's about thriving. Remember, your health is the most precious gift you have, and it deserves to be treated as such. Take care of it, and it will take care of you in ways you never imagined possible. Habit number 10. Surrounding yourself with negative influences. Throughout my life, I have often found myself surrounded by individuals whose outlook on life was nothing short of draining. These people seemed to have a constant cloud of negativity hanging over them. They would endlessly complain about their jobs, criticize others relentlessly, and focus solely on the flaws and shortcomings in their lives. Initially, I didn't give much thought to their constant negativity, believing it wouldn't have any lasting impact on me. After all, I thought, their pessimism was theirs to own, and mine was something I could protect. But I soon learned the hard way that negativity doesn't just stay at arm's length. It slowly, insidiously infiltrates your thoughts and behaviors, changing the very way you see the world. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment below to let me know that you are still here with me. I remember a particular moment that continues to haunt me, a turning point that helped me realize just how deeply negative influences can shape our reality. I had just started a new job, full of excitement and eager to contribute. My heart was in the right place. I was determined to leave a positive mark. However, within the first few weeks, I became friends with a group of colleagues who were constantly dissatisfied with the workplace. They would grumble about the boss, complain about the workload, and obsess over every minor inconvenience. At first, I thought it was harmless, a bit of venting among friends. But soon, I found myself swept up in their negativity, participating in their criticisms, and echoing their discontent. My once passionate drive began to wane. The workplace, which had once seemed full of potential, started to feel like a burden. What had once been an exciting new chapter now seemed like a never-ending cycle of dread. I dreaded going to work, my energy drained by the constant complaints, and my productivity plummeted as I became trapped in a cycle of negative thinking. The thing with surrounding yourself with negativity is that it's rarely obvious at first. It sneaks up on you, quietly altering the way you see the world. You begin to adopt a pessimistic mindset, focusing on flaws and problems rather than solutions and opportunities. Slowly, that negativity stifles your creativity, dulls your enthusiasm, and chips away at your happiness. Your self-worth and mental well-being become fragile, and your growth potential becomes limited, all because the environment you're in feeds on fear, doubt, and criticism. A powerful illustration of this is the character of George Bailey in the timeless movie It's a Wonderful Life. George, full of dreams and ambitions, is continuously pushed down by the negative influence of Mr. Potter, the greedy and cynical businessman. Mr. Potter belittles George's efforts, his aspirations, and even the small good he tries to do for his community. The crushing weight of Mr. Potter's negativity makes George question his worth and the value of his dreams. It is only when George reconnects with his loving friends and family that he finds the strength to rediscover the joy and meaning in his life. The message here is powerful. The people you allow into your life have an immense impact on how you perceive yourself and the world around you. If you surround yourself with negativity, it will pull you into its dark grip, keeping you from seeing the light. But if you choose to surround yourself with people who uplift and inspire you, their positive energy will elevate you, pushing you to reach heights you never thought possible. Breaking the habit of surrounding yourself with negative influences requires a conscious and sometimes difficult choice. You must evaluate the relationships you have, questioning whether the people around you are lifting you up or dragging you down. Reflect on how the individuals in your life impact your emotional state. Do they inspire you? Do they encourage growth? Or do they make you feel small, incapable, or hopeless? In my journey toward creating a more positive and enriching environment, I knew I had to take a hard look at the people I was allowing into my life. I began the painful but necessary process of distancing myself from the most negative influences. These weren't easy decisions, as some of these people had been part of my life for years. Friends, colleagues, people I had known and trusted. But I understood that for my well-being and personal growth, I had to make a change. I sought out individuals who were motivated, positive, and supportive. People who inspired me to become better, not bitter. I attended networking events, joined professional groups, and rekindled friendships with those who radiated positivity. These new connections breathed life back into my spirit. Their energy helped me rediscover my passion, my motivation, and my joy. Another essential step I took was to create a mental environment that nourished my growth. I began to fill my mind with content that inspired me and expanded my perspective. I read books that made me think deeply, listened to podcasts that fueled my ambition, and practiced gratitude to keep my focus on the positive aspects of life. I meditated, clearing my mind of the noise and negativity that once clouded it. By intentionally curating the thoughts that entered my mind, I was able to replace the negativity that had once surrounded me with a mindset of empowerment and possibility. Finally, I made a vow to be the change I wanted to see in the world. I knew that to foster positivity in my life, I had to also be a source of positivity for others. I made an effort to encourage, uplift, and support those around me. Whether it was offering words of encouragement to a colleague, showing empathy to a friend, or simply being present for someone in need, I knew that by spreading positivity, I would help create a more uplifting environment for myself and those around me. Surrounding yourself with negative influences can have a profound impact on your mental, emotional, and even physical well-being. But by choosing to surround yourself with positive, inspiring individuals and engaging in activities that nourish your soul, you can shift your mindset and your life. Remember, the company you keep shapes the person you become. Choose wisely, and make the conscious decision to be a beacon of light in your own life and the lives of others. Looking back at the habits that almost ruined my life. As I look back on my journey, I realize just how fortunate I was to recognize these habits before they had the chance to fully destroy my potential. It's all too easy to fall into these destructive patterns without realizing the long-term damage they cause. Each of the habits we've discussed, surrounding yourself with negative influences, taking everything personally, overspending, harboring grudges, procrastinating, overcommitting, under-delivering, relying on luck, avoiding responsibility, neglecting your health, can erode your happiness and success if left unchecked. My personal experiences serve as a reminder that we have the power to change our habits and, in turn, our lives. Recognizing these toxic behaviors is the first step toward transformation. The key to breaking free from these destructive habits is replacing them with positive actions that promote growth, resilience, and fulfillment. For example, instead of surrounding yourself with individuals who constantly echo your opinions and offer empty affirmations, seek out those rare souls who challenge you in meaningful, constructive ways. Surround yourself with people who see your potential and have the courage to push you beyond your limits, inspiring you to become the best version of yourself. These individuals will not only hold a mirror up to your strengths but will also bring your weaknesses to light, providing an invaluable opportunity for personal growth. Learn to embrace constructive criticism with grace, resisting the urge to internalize it as a reflection of your worth. Understand that feedback is not an attack on your character, but a powerful tool meant to shape your evolution. Instead of retreating into defensiveness or self-doubt, use every critique as a stepping stone toward greater wisdom and self-improvement. Each piece of feedback is a gift that guides you closer to the person you are meant to become. When it comes to your finances, shift your mindset from impulse spending to conscious investment. Be deliberate in how you allocate your resources, investing only in things that truly enhance your life, well-being, and future. A mindful approach to money allows you to prioritize long-term growth over fleeting desires, aligning your spending habits with the deeper goals that nourish your soul and dreams. Let go of the weight of resentment, and release the shackles of unforgiveness that bind you. Holding on to grudges only poisons your heart and clouds your judgment, preventing you from embracing peace and joy. Understand that forgiveness is not an act of condoning wrongs, but a courageous step toward freeing yourself from the chains of bitterness. When you forgive, you take back your power and create space for healing and growth in your life. Choose action over procrastination by breaking down overwhelming tasks into smaller, more manageable steps. Procrastination thrives on fear and indecision, but when you take deliberate action, no matter how small, you silence those fears and move yourself closer to your goals. Remember, progress is not always about giant leaps. It's about the persistence to move forward, step by step, with purpose and determination. Be realistic with yourself about your commitments, and always strive to honor your word. When you overextend yourself, you risk spreading your energy too thin, leaving you unable to give your best. Instead, focus on what you can truly accomplish and commit with intention, knowing that your integrity and reliability are priceless. Keeping your promises builds trust with others and, more importantly, with yourself. Do not sit idly by, waiting for life's circumstances to change in your favor. The universe doesn't deliver success on a silver platter. Success comes to those who take proactive, decisive steps toward it. Don't wait for luck or chance to grant you opportunities. You have the power within you to create the path you desire. The time to act is now. Take full responsibility for your actions and their outcomes, whether they lead to triumph or failure. Accepting responsibility allows you to learn from every experience, turning even the most challenging moments into valuable lessons. Own your successes, savor the fruits of your hard work, and embrace your mistakes, knowing they are simply lessons on the road to personal greatness. Prioritize your health with unwavering dedication, for it is the foundation upon which every other achievement rests. Your physical and mental well-being are the fuel that drives your passions, dreams, and ambitions. Without a strong foundation of health, everything else crumbles. Take the time to nourish your body, mind, and spirit, and watch how every other area of your life flourishes as a result. Finally, choose to surround yourself with individuals who uplift, inspire, and support your growth. Seek out those who encourage your journey, challenge your limitations, and celebrate your progress. Their positivity will become the wind beneath your wings, propelling you forward when your energy falters. Embracing these changes requires courage, commitment, and resilience, but the rewards are beyond measure. By making these shifts, you will find yourself becoming more productive, more fulfilled, and more aligned with the person you are meant to be. Your relationships will deepen, your sense of purpose will become clearer, and the path to success will feel more attainable than ever before. The future is in your hands, and it's waiting for you to rise and claim it. Part 2. The top 10 toxic habits you must avoid at all costs. In the whirlwind of modern life, it's all too easy to fall into destructive patterns that silently undermine our growth, happiness, and peace of mind. These toxic habits often slip under the radar, gradually taking root in our lives, and before we know it, they've woven themselves into our daily routines. The consequences are far-reaching: stress, dissatisfaction, unfulfilled potential, and a persistent sense of being stuck. It's crucial, now more than ever, to identify these detrimental behaviors and consciously eliminate them from our lives. The freedom to live a truly fulfilling and successful life lies in your ability to break free from these toxic cycles. Here are the top 10 toxic habits you must avoid at all costs if you truly desire to elevate your life and be your best self. Procrastination. Procrastination is one of the most insidious and paralyzing habits that silently devour our time, energy, and dreams. The temptation to delay taking action can feel soothing in the moment, but it comes at a steep cost. Every minute spent putting things off is a minute that erodes your self-worth and adds layers of stress. This habit feeds on your fears and doubts, often creating a vicious cycle where the mere thought of starting becomes overwhelmingly intimidating. Procrastination robs you not only of the satisfaction of completing tasks, but also of the countless opportunities that come with them. When you miss deadlines and fail to take action, you risk tarnishing your reputation and closing doors to new possibilities. To fight procrastination, start by setting small, achievable goals, and break your tasks into manageable steps. Focus on progress, not perfection, and celebrate every little victory. With each task you conquer, you build momentum, reclaim your confidence, and gradually transform your approach to work. Negative self-talk. The way you speak to yourself shapes your world. It determines the story you tell yourself about who you are and what you can achieve. If your internal dialogue is filled with harsh criticism, self-doubt, and negativity, it can create a mental prison that locks you out of your true potential. Negative self-talk destroys your self-esteem and chips away at your sense of self-worth, leaving you feeling small and incapable. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, where the more you belittle yourself, the more you reinforce a mindset of failure and defeat. But you hold the power to rewrite this narrative. It starts with practicing self-compassion and choosing kindness over judgment. Replace the harsh, critical voice in your head with words of encouragement, and remind yourself of your strengths and achievements. Surround yourself with people who lift you, who see the brilliance within you when you can't. As you nurture a positive internal dialogue, you create a mental environment conducive to growth, resilience, and success. Holding grudges. Carrying the weight of grudges and unresolved conflicts is like shackling your soul to the past. The anger, bitterness, and resentment you harbor only poison your present and rob you of the peace and joy you deserve. When you cling to past offenses, whether real or perceived, you hold yourself hostage in a prison of negativity. These grudges become toxic, spreading their poison into every aspect of your life: your relationships, your mental health, and your happiness. Letting go of past hurts is not about excusing the wrongs done to you. It's about freeing yourself from the emotional chains that keep you stuck. Forgiveness is a gift you give to yourself, not the person who wronged you. It's an act of liberation that allows you to reclaim your peace of mind and open your heart to new, positive experiences. Release the bitterness and make room for healing. When you forgive, you create space for growth, love, and fresh opportunities. Overcommitting. Many of us fall into the trap of overcommitting, driven by a deep-seated desire to please others or avoid disappointing them. While the intention behind helping others is often pure, the result can be overwhelming exhaustion, burnout, and resentment. Taking on too much leads to a depletion of your energy and time, leaving little left for your personal needs or goals. Overcommitting drains you emotionally, physically, and mentally, creating an unbalanced, unhealthy life. Learning to set boundaries is essential. Saying no doesn't make you selfish, it makes you wise. Prioritizing your commitments ensures that you give your best to the things that truly matter, whether that's your career, your health, or your loved ones. When you protect your energy, you can serve others with a full heart, without compromising your well-being. Saying no is an act of self-respect, a powerful way to maintain control over your life and nurture your happiness. Surrounding yourself with toxic people. The people you surround yourself with have an immense influence on your mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. If you find yourself constantly feeling drained, defeated, or disrespected after spending time with certain individuals, it's a sign that their energy is toxic. Toxic people thrive on negativity, gossip, and drama, and they have a way of draining your enthusiasm and clouding your vision. They sow seeds of doubt, feed your insecurities, and hold you back from being the best version of yourself. Toxic relationships are like parasites. They latch onto your energy and sap it, leaving you feeling empty and uninspired. It's time to distance yourself from these energy vampires. Instead, seek out people who uplift you, who challenge you to grow, and who bring out the best in you. Surround yourself with those who inspire, motivate, and encourage you to chase your dreams. Positive, loving, and supportive relationships can be the driving force that propels you toward success, fulfillment, and emotional peace. By consciously recognizing and eliminating these toxic habits, you create space in your life for greater peace, happiness, and success. Your journey to personal growth and fulfillment begins with a powerful decision to let go of what no longer serves you and embrace habits that foster a thriving, vibrant life. Avoiding responsibilities. Avoiding responsibility is more than just a habit. It's a silent thief that steals your potential, slowly eroding the very foundation upon which your future is built. When you shy away from taking ownership of your actions, whether they be triumphs or failures, you miss out on precious opportunities to grow and evolve. Each time you refuse to confront your responsibilities, you deny yourself the ability to learn, adapt, and become stronger. Embracing accountability is the catalyst for developing resilience and fortitude. It empowers you to rise above life's challenges, to make necessary corrections, and to move forward with unwavering purpose. By accepting responsibility for your choices, you not only grow wiser but also unlock the door to a world where you're the one in control, shaping your destiny with every decision you make. It's in those moments of honest reflection and ownership that you build the character needed to not just survive but to thrive. Comparing yourself to others. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 5 below to let me know that you are still here with me. The toxic act of comparing yourself to others is an invisible poison that seeps into your mind, drowning your self-worth in an endless sea of doubt. In today's world, where social media magnifies the seemingly perfect lives of others, it's easy to get caught in the dangerous trap of measuring your value against someone else's highlight reel. The truth is, the only person you should be comparing yourself to is the version of yourself from yesterday. You are a unique being, with your dreams, struggles, and triumphs. Don't let the illusion of another's journey cloud the brilliance of your own. Celebrate every step forward, no matter how small, because every milestone you reach is a testament to your strength, your dedication, and your growth. Shift your focus inward. Set personal goals that resonate with your heart, goals that align with your values and deepest aspirations. Your path is yours alone, and it is a beautiful one, filled with infinite possibilities if you dare to trust yourself. Living in the past. The past, while a valuable teacher, can also become an anchor if you let it dominate your thoughts. Yes, there's wisdom to be found in your history, but when you allow it to define who you are and dictate where you're going, you risk suffocating your present with regrets, guilt, and missed opportunities. Life is happening now, And the moment you spend rehashing yesterday's mistakes or victories is a moment stolen from the infinite potential that exists today. Embrace the lessons the past has given you, and let them guide you with a sense of purpose, but don't let them chain you. The future is waiting, and the present is a gift, the only place where you truly have the power to create, shape, and transform your life. Practices like mindfulness, meditation, or journaling allow you to root yourself in the present moment, helping you release the weight of old memories and opening the door to a life filled with peace, joy, and new beginnings. Neglecting your health. Neglecting your health is a betrayal of the most precious gift you've been given, the ability to live a vibrant, fulfilling life. When you ignore the whispers of your body, whether it's indulging in poor eating habits, skimping on exercise, or failing to nurture your mental well-being, you're setting yourself on a path that diminishes your quality of life. Your health is not something you can take for granted, and it should never be sacrificed in the name of convenience or fleeting desires. Prioritize your well-being by nourishing your body with wholesome foods, fueling your spirit with regular exercise, and caring for your mind by seeking support when necessary. Remember, without your health, everything else in life becomes harder to achieve. You cannot reach your full potential if you are not well. Treat your body with the respect and love it deserves, for it is the vessel that carries you through every dream, every challenge, and every joy you encounter. Thank you for taking the time to dive into these transformative insights today. Now that we've explored the powerful impact of embracing responsibility, focusing on your unique journey, living in the present, and prioritizing your health, I want to ask you, what have you learned so far? What's one thing from this video that resonated with you, and how do you plan to bring it into your life moving forward? Please, share your thoughts with us in the comments below. I'd love to hear about your takeaways and the changes you're making. If you like this video, please leave your comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content like this. Your engagement means the world, and it helps us continue bringing you valuable insights. Thank you for being a part of this journey. Let's grow and succeed together.